white exploitation. Hello, everyone. You know who it is. You know how it is. I was having trouble with my computer, so I had to reset. So I reset and clicked on my browser, and all these pictures pop up for articles, and I've seen something interesting. So like this pops up, and I look at it, and I'm like, okay. I don't know. I don't even pay attention to this, but something caught my eye. So see all this stuff. I don't pay attention to most of this stuff because it's the world. And I don't care about the world. Like I'm not a worldly person. However, this here caught my eye. All right. It says TV's white exploitation movement. So I'm like, okay, what's this about? I haven't clicked on it, so I'm about to check it out. This is by National Review. Now, mind you, I'm not someone that read articles like this all the time and stuff, so I don't know what's top tier. I don't know what's trash tier. I'm not a worldly person, so I normally don't bother with this. I'm not a reporter. I'm not, like, when I do my social media, I'm not trying to make a report about everything that happens in the world. That's just not how I am. But I'm just going by what captures my eye. So this is by National Review for Microsoft News, apparently. And it says TV's White Exploitation Movement by Armand White. Interesting name. Okay, so what does it say? Whom is the Amazon Prime racial horror series Them aimed at? Not angry, dejected blacks, but guilt-ridden whites. Be they woke viewers or banal Hollywood producers. Them's top episode narrative about the Black Emery family relocating from North Carolina to Compton, California in 1953 exemplifies an as yet unnamed genre, white exploitation. As yet unnamed genre. And then they give it a name. Okay? Early on, Them's woke phoniness is plain to see. The Emerys are introduced amid such Jim Crow era cultural. I don't know this word. Call me ignorant, but I don't know this word, so I'll try to pronounce it. detritus. Okay. Jim Crow era cultural detritus as a Doris Day song sheet. This misplaced anthropological detail is intended to indict American white supremacy, but them's creator, who goes by the Hollywood hip hop name Little Marvin and boasts about his fondness for horror film tropes, uses they perversely. In generic terms, Marvin's them is a freaky millennial reboot of the 1954 monster movie Them, about predatory giant ants, as if predicting Malcolm X's 1963 chickens came home to roost snark. And Day sticks out because Marvin obviously doesn't know or respect Day's politics or her famous relationship with pioneering black pop artist Sly Stone of Sly and the Family Stone. And that's just the start of the craven antipathy and ignorance hidden inside the phenomenon of white exploitation. But mind you, this is the first time I'm hearing that term, white exploitation. Didn't even know such a thing existed. But okay. Don't confuse them with social justice expression. Okay. We're witnessing a new cultural phase in which productions such as HBO's Watchmen, Lovecraft Country, Queen and Slim, and Antebellum shamelessly combine race embarrassment and resentment. Let's see here. Shamelessly combine race embarrassment and resentment. Interesting choice of words. The race tension that Hollywood and mainstream media perpetrate. The race tension that Hollywood and mainstream media perpetrate looks the same as the anti-war subtext of old sci-fi junk. The 50s Them was sold as a horror horde of crawl and crush giants clawing out of the earth from mile-deep catacombs. That anti-atomic bomb tagline, deployed to exploit post-war World War II political alarm, part of the communist-based pacifist movement, is no less laughable than Marvin's. Excuse me. Why am I having trouble reading this? Okay. It says that the Emory family confrontation with the hidden horrors of white American racism. So its premise is the Emory's family's confrontation with the hidden horrors of white American racism. All right. Inspired by Obama's post-Ferguson racial incitement, a sense of threat and liberal compassion both get twisted and trivialized as Martin imitates the same white guilt tactics used in Jordan Peele's Get Out and Us. Oh, I see. So now, Marvin is imitating the same white guilt tactics. Okay. Marvin completes the us versus them strategy for perpetual race antagonism. This is strategy for perpetual race antagonism. Hmm. Since mainstream media won't recognize white exploitation for what it is, and I think there's a perfectly good reason why they won't recognize it, but okay. We must scrutinize and define it. Them is not what the Los Angeles Times called trauma porn, a topic for further study. It belongs to a trend also seen in ABC Disney's fetishistic race programming, with such series as Blackish and Mixish, a craze that reached peak anxiety with the woke presenters and woke commercials at the Oscars. Oh, I see. Let's go back here and see. Fetish, they use the word fetish here and put it with race programming. Hmm, interesting. Designed to appeal to white liberals. Hmm, wait a minute. It's white exploitation, but it's designed to appeal to white liberals. Let me read that again. Designed to appeal to white liberals. Them's white exploitation throws the Emery family into the maelstrom of failed integration. Oh, that's what you call it historically. It was failed integration. Hmm. Historical neighborhood mixing that unleashes black and white nightmares. Marvin has vented his cynicism about the history of black upward mobility and white flight. Any black person knows home ownership has been anything but a dream. Home ownership has been an absolute nightmare. His too glib, I honestly don't know what too glib, two apostrophe glib means. Never seen that before. His too glib political generalities bury social specifics in BLM pandering while his show focuses on the emotional and psychological lives of the characters and lets the horror kind of bubble up from there. Interesting. Who are they quoting? They keep putting these in quotes, but who are they quoting? Add to that the fashionable hysteria of them producer Lena Waithe, Queen and Slim, and the co-producers Seth V. Rosenfield, a longtime specialist in racial instability and white self-loathing. Interesting choice of words. The 1991 play Survey and Bernice Forever. Okay. Them refuses whites a vicarious experience of black history. Oh, it's another word that I'm familiar with it, but I'm not sure what they mean by that in this case here. Let me, you know what? Let me be intelligent. Let me not be ignorant. Let me be intelligent. Let me like look up that V word. Let me let me show some intelligence. How you spell it? Let me make sure the spelling's right. I'll copy it. Okay. Vicarious. Let's see. Experience or realized through imaginative or sympathetic participation in the experience of another. Performed or suffered by one person as a substitute for another or to the benefit or advantage of another. Alright, vicarious. So it says that this show refuses whites a vicarious experience of black history. Interesting wording. Very interesting how they word that. I just want to make sure I understood what they're saying here, because even without looking up that word, I knew what they were saying, but I wanted just to be certain what they're saying here. That's why I looked it up. Instead, it epitomizes Hollywood's recent turn from guilt towards liberal sadomasochism. What? It epitomizes Hollywood's recent turn from guilt towards liberal sadomasochism. Didn't know that was a thing. I never heard of liberal sadomasochism. The Emerys endure rape, murder, and supernatural taunting. Their anger and assault concentrated in the hostility of white neighbor Betty, played by Alison Peel. The fact that the physically beautiful Emery actors Deborah, I'm not even going to pronounce her last name, and Ashley Thomas are constantly despoiled only makes their abuse more painful. None of Emery's terror is cathartic. I know what cathartic means. Let me look this up. Be sure I understand what they're trying to say. Let's see. What do they mean cathartic? Catharsis. Of, relating to, or producing catharsis. So what's catharsis? Let's look up catharsis. Because this person likes to use really complicated words, you know? So let's make sure we know what this person's saying. Thereby providing relief from strong or repressed emotions. Oh, purgation. Okay. So this saying here is none of Emery's terror is cathartic. The meaning, none of this terror in this show has the process of releasing and thereby providing relief from strong or repressed emotions. None of Emery's terror is cathartic. Them suggests a monster movie without humor or a sense of victory, and that's what differentiates white exploitation from the notorious black exploitation movies of the 1970s Shaft, Hammer, Slaughter, Superfly, ad infinitum. Interesting way of wording this. Very interesting. Those films were manufactured to appease the frustrations of post civil rights black filmgoers, then considered underdeserved by Hollywood. White liberals, often using familiar cultural tropes to signify hipster empathy. That's pretty odd wording right there. It feels like you're reaching. Them's first episode opens with Patti LaBelle's oversung Over the Rainbow, and end with Dinah Ross's Home. Emphatically not Stephanie Mills' joyous gospel version, but disgraces both. Marvin's idea is to employ homeowner irony, but it's just a phony ransacking of black culture and history. Interesting wording here. Very phony ransacking of black culture and history. It sounds very familiar. It sounds as familiar as films that show black people in a negative fashion and all this such, just as he described with the white exploitation. It sounds like the same description. Okay, but whatever, right? This follows the style of HBO sub-cinema where sex, race, and pop culture are exploited darkly as means for sensationalism. I think that encompasses everything Hollywood, HBO, all that. White, black makes no difference, but okay. All the Emery's physical and psychic violence fits, so now it's psychic, no longer supernatural, now it's psychic. All of Emery's physical and psychic violence fits the academic prescription about the brutalization of black bodies. Little Marvin's panic. There is tremendous trauma trapped in this country. It's been domestic terror from the beginning. Sounds like Al Sharpton, Benjamin Crump's snake oil. Marvin doesn't understand the healing potential of art, but it seems he sure does believe in segregation when it's to his advantage. Interesting wording here. Very interesting how they word this. That's the essence of the new white exploitation. His only way of conversing with whites is through anger, resentment, and pleas for pity. If his only way of conversing with white folks is through anger, resentment, and pleas for pity, how is that white exploitation? I don't get it. How is that an exploitation? Okay. At best, white exploitation also represents black bougie alarm. Interesting you put alarm after that. Black bougie alarm. Both are characteristic of leisure class dismay felt by audiences and makers who are so distant from the realities of black experience that they've never heard or they forgot horrorcore hip hop. Whoever wrote this article is reaching. What the hell does this have to do with hardcore hip hop? That minor music movement expressed the naughty license given to commercially empowered rappers. Your point. That's just totally irrelevant, but you gotta put that in there. Strange. Them's white exploitation illustrates the same decadence. Only now the tables are turned. Interesting wording. Them's white exploitation illustrates the same decadence. Okay? And then he said, only now the tables are turned. Interesting. So when you say the tables are turned, that means that all this that he said, this is what Hollywood was doing as far as using white people to exploit black people, black exploitation. So now you're admitting all the wrongdoings in Hollywood and say, well, now you're guilty because you're turning the table. So now you're guilty of doing the same thing. Whereas prior, the trend was, oh, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. You're just complaining. This is the way things are supposed to be. Now they're saying, oh no, we were exploiting you black people in Hollywood, but you're guilty now because you turned the table. It's just as ridiculous as that term that they used to use 2 years ago called reverse racism. No such thing as reverse racism. There's just racism. But I digress. Let's move on. Little Marvin has reduced the history of America race relations to a Hollywood pitch meeting. Oh, interesting. The horrific history of America between whites and blacks, and you made a film out of it, and it's so horrific that it's hard to swallow, and you're playing on our guilt, and oh, you're trying to exploit us because you're making us feel guilty. Guilty of what? If that's what really happened, that's what really happened. But as is being explained here, no need to keep this on the large view anymore. As it's explained here, it's not real. It's Hollywood. What's the big deal? But you go black, go black. You go back through it, and you keep using the term. He kept using the term guilt or guilt written, and then put white with it. Guilt. There's guilt, guilt, guilt. Now, excuse me. I'm just a black person. Let's go on record here. I'm just a black person. What do I know, right? I'm ignorant. I'm I'm uneducated. The usual stereotypes. None of it's true. At least not about me. But hey, let's run with the stereotype. I'm black. I'm stupid. I'm ignorant. I'm poor. underprivileged, all that mess, right? Oh, it's just no possible way that I can understand anything. I'm just so stupid. Invert this, invert that, right? Okay. I'm just a Negro. But there's one word that jumps out at me in this article, and it's the word guilt. But correct me if I'm wrong. But guilt, normally, the term guilt normally suggests that when a wrong has been done, you feel bad about that fact. Am I correct? I mean, that's what guilt is. So, because I'm uneducated. I'm an ignorant black person. So let me look at the dictionary. Let me look up what the word guilt means. Hope to God I spelled that right, because I'm so ignorant. Let's see. The fact of having committed. Oh, I forgot. Let me put it on screen so you can see. Sorry. Excuse my ignorance, incompetence. Guilt. The fact of having committed a specified or implied offense or crime. Hmm. Make someone feel guilty, especially in order to induce them to do something. Hmm. Could that mean that verb? Could that be what he's implying? Trying to make us feel guilty, and we shouldn't feel guilty. It's weird because in the article, I mean, throughout it, he's suggesting that hey, this is true historical fact of American history, and it's true American history, but you're distorting it because and you're overdoing it. There it is. He's overdoing it to act on our guilt. You know, guilt-ridden liberals. And it's funny because he put the word liberal there. He made it political, but is it really political or is it historical fact? You know what I mean? Now, if this is to work on the guilt-ridden white liberals, as it says here, then what about the white conservatives? What about that? As I read this, with y'all out there, and I'm like, okay, he's reaching. He's reaching. He's trying so hard to bash this show. I haven't seen the show, so I have no idea. But this is a very biased article. Very, very biased. And the funny thing about all this is the very thing Armand White accuses Marvin of doing is the very same thing Armand White is doing right here with this article. Believe it or not. Yep, word for word. Except for the rap music and stuff. I doubt he can do rap music or whatever, but you know what I mean. Huh. Okay, so see, this is why I don't click on things like this normally. But since I wanted to check it out, I decided to um, click on it and see what it's about. It was my first time reading it. Um, yeah, this type of footage, this type of movie or TV show, whatever, this type of entertainment, it's only bad if you turn the tables on us good old white folk because you're making us feel guilty. That's bad on you black people. Don't make us feel guilty. And need I mention the things that's going on in the United States, all the racial tension and stuff, false racial tension that's being, for lack of better words, trumped up to yet again what, exploit black people. Hmm. Now, my message to everyone, to the human species, the people of Earth, no matter what your skin color is, my message to the people of Earth is this: stop with the nonsense. Just stop. If you don't, well, let's just say there's extremely heavy consequences for your actions. But we all know how human beings are. You human beings out there, you know how you are. You're just going to continue perpetuating this nonsense. Just wait and see what happens. Just wait and see. And before any of you out there decide to leave a comment below in the video, I just ask you to do this one thing. Think critically about what I'm saying and think critically about what's said in this article and the message I just delivered to you. Because last time I checked, in the United States, everyone has a right to express themselves, right? Okay, so like he said in his own article, the tables are turned, and that's a bad thing. People want to express themselves, they make their movie, they make their TV. I don't know if the TV show is supposed to be historically accurate, but I do know it's based on American history, which was horrific. It was nothing nice surrounding the existence of slavery. And it's not, I mean, especially if it's like a horror show, it's not going to be peaches and cream. It's horror. The funny thing is, compared it to that movie, Get Out, and this other one I can't remember. Yeah, whatever, man. White exploitation. Okay. Anyway, peace out.